A welfare mother does not have any choice about working once her youngest child is 6 years old.
Hello, my name's Karen Gruber, and I'm a counselor with the WIN program. I want to welcome you to the orientation today. Basically, the WIN program is for people who are on welfare. It's for people who are on aid to families with dependent children, and the purpose of it is to find you a job. Now, there are different classifications. We have people who are called mandatory WIN registrants. Those are people who don't have any small children at home. They're obliged to work. The government says that you have to get a job. Your counselor is going to set up appointments for you. We expect you to come to those.
Otherwise, if I don't, then they call my welfare worker down at welfare office, and they tell her I'm not, doing what I should be doing. And then she sends me a letter, and you have to go to this hearing, to determine why you're not doing this and why you're not doing that. And then if they go against you at the hearing, then you're automatically shut off of welfare.
Completely?
Well, I don't think they can do it completely, but they can cut me off. But I don't think they can cut my children off.
If you miss 2 appointments in a row without contacting us, then we get concerned and may start some action that would jeopardize your welfare check, because we do expect you to keep in touch with us, things like that. Another thing is, once you get a job, we're still going to be involved. We're still going to be your WIN counselors. Now, if you should be having any problems on the job, we'd like you to contact us, and perhaps we can straighten them out. One thing that you're not supposed to do is quit the job without contacting us.
Because if I stay home and watch my children, then I don't get welfare anymore. And that's just what it boils down to, And I cannot work if my children aren't taken care of. Because if my children weren't taken care of, then I would have, the welfare down on me again saying, hey, you're leaving your kids at home, lady. We're going to take your kids away from you. See? So, it's a losing battle.
But, sometimes we have people who have, really unrealistic expectations. They may not want to go out on any jobs unless they pay $5 or $6 an hour. And, that's just entirely not feasible. Say they've never worked or anything like that. So your WIN counselor may put some demands on you like, these are the types of jobs we're going to be looking for that seem to suit you, and these are what that they want you to go out and find.
At one time I went to the WIN program. I said, well, I'll go to WIN. They're going to really help me get trained for a job, get me a good job.
Some of your questions might be about training. Now, right now with the WIN program, we have very little funds for schooling.
And you go through orientation, and then you get through, and they really talk to you about applying for jobs and jobs with training on the job training and everything. And then they set you up in front of this little machine. And you start looking through this thing for jobs.
Another thing that we have is what we call on-the-job training contracts. That's where you or we will find an employer who wants to train you. You'll be getting full salary along with all the other employees. The thing is, we will be reimbursing him for a percentage of that until you're trained, in exchange for him having the patience to train you. Now, that too is available at times. Right now, we're getting toward the end of the fiscal year, and there isn't very much available there.
Now, the only problem is if you don't have any training and you don't have any experience, there's not too many jobs that pay very well that you can find.
Well, now wait a minute. Are there any jobs that don't pay very well that you can find?
Yeah, but not too many of those either.
All right.
Because the job situation is tight.
Dottie Dykeman's going to be in a few minutes. She's going to give the presentation on what the social worker does and what you can expect from him or her.
Hi, my name is Dottie Dykeman, and I'm with the Welfare Department. I'm going to tell you about the Denver Department of social services role in the WIN program, now that you've heard all about employment services part. Everyone in here is on a public assistance grant of some type. The one thing that is affected when you go to WIN, probably the one clinker in the whole WIN program, is the loss of Medicaid, because it is a big loss. And there's just no way to get around that. When you finally do go off of your public assistance grant, you will lose your Medicaid.
Okay.
Come.
They make it so hard for me. Like, if I get a regular job and I want to work, instead of letting me keep my welfare benefits for a couple of months, enough to get me really going on my feet, so I could just completely get off of welfare, you know. Instead, as soon as you get a job, they cut your welfare check immediately. If you're taking everything you're working with and using it just to put food in your house and pay the rent and, you know, pay the utility bills, then it's the same, you know, plus you don't have the benefits, like you don't have food stamps and you don't have Medicaid. So therefore, you've got to pay for your food and you've got to pay for your doctor.
For every parent, a single parent who's on the WIN program, we provide child care money. What we do is give you a list of people who are licensed daycare people in your area of town, so that you can contact the people on the list and decide who you want to babysit for you.
All right, I've called maybe 90 of those 100 names out of there. Okay, not one of them will take 4 children. Now, I'm responsible to get my children there and to pick them up. But how am I going to get my children there, get them to school, to get them home from school to the babysitter, and still work?
Okay, I'm through talking. Does anybody else have a question before we go?
Job is to help you.
Okay, I wish all of you good luck with WIN.
Again, we need to stay in regular contact with you. We need to know that you're making some kind of sincere effort towards finding work. I think that's the essence of WIN. And if you're having some problems that we should be aware of, you know, let us know. Let me know, let Perry know, so that we can work around them. But, you know, if we hear nothing from you, then we have to assume that, you know, you're not cooperating with WIN and that you don't intend to. In general, people are here because they don't have any real job skills, any marketable job skills. They can't go out and find the kind of job to take care of themselves and earn enough money to do so. Irene, for instance, youngest child is now 6 years old. She's had roughly 8 months of work experience.
In her life?
Yeah. She's 30 years old, and in many, you know, she's just essentially a new person to the new entrant into today's labor market. And,
So what can she make? Minimum wage? More?
well, probably to start, you know, $265.
Still under the poverty line for a family of 4.
Yeah, in Irene's case, family of 5. Yeah.
Do many people on welfare who come in here to register with you have a lot of other problems in their life that might prevent their working?
Sure.
What sorts of things do you see?
Oh, like in Irene's case, everything from housing, childcare, maybe medical problems, problems with the police, problems with schools. Problems run the full gamut that we have to take into account.
They have really been considerate. You know, they know that I'm nervous and the problems I'm going through, and they've been real patient with me. It's just that I can't handle it.
You can't handle what?
I can't handle going to the WIN. I can't handle. Right now, I'm waiting for some checks. I went to court, and they were supposed to give me 2 or 3 back pay checks from the welfare, and I won it. You know, I went to court, and they said that I would be getting it, and I still haven't received those checks. Now I'm going to have to go to court again, and you know, I'm just tired of it already.
What did you do the whole time you were getting no welfare checks? How'd you eat?
Oh, I was getting emergency food stamps.
How'd you pay the rent?
I didn't. I was going to court then too. Every month I had an eviction notice on my door.
Did they ever evict you?
Well, no. I went to court 2 or 3 times for eviction notice, but they never did evict me.
Living on welfare then is not a real secure life,
No,
is
it isn't. I can't handle it.
What are you going to do about it?
I don't know. I would like to work, but I want to, you know, do it on my own. I don't want to hassle with the welfare anymore. I've gone through too many changes. Then having to live here and, you know, with my kids and everything, it's hard on me, it's hard on them. I've already had to go down to the school school hadn't even been on for a week, 2 weeks, and I had to go down and talk to the teacher with my son, about my son.
What's the problem with your son?
He just, I don't know, I guess he doesn't have any faith in adults. He just doesn't believe them or something. He's always trying. And
Well, how do you get out of these problems? You're too nervous to work, right?
Mhm.
And staying on welfare is one of the things that makes you so nervous. So what do you do?
Nothing. I haven't done nothing, but like I said, I haven't been to the win, you know. So automatically I'll probably, well, you know, they'll drop me off of welfare. First thing I would like to do is move, find a job, and maybe then my kids would straighten up and I wouldn't have to worry about them so much then. But I don't know.
Is that what you think will happen?
I hope so.
But what do you really think?
I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore.
Do you expect to get out of this?
I'll try.
Most welfare mothers come to WIN because the law requires them to work with WIN toward finding a job when their youngest child is 6 years old. WIN is experimenting with the idea of persuading mothers with children younger than 6 to find work and get off the welfare rolls.
Is the idea to save the government money, welfare money?
Hopefully we will be able to get women into occupations that pay enough to move them off of welfare. Yes, the idea is to save the government money.
What is the cost of daycare here?
I don't know. That's true.
The cost of daycare varies from state to state, but if a woman is earning minimum wage, which is probably the case with welfare mothers, and if she has just 2 children, the government could conceivably pay more for daycare for her children than she could earn. So the government would not save welfare money. It would just pay someone other than the child's mother to care for it.
Who decides if the kid is better off with his mother out working?
The mother decides.
Okay. And this program is an effort to persuade her to do just that, right?
This program will have, this program will expose her to what her choices are.
No, but you said it's to try and get her to do that.
To try and get her to
become employed before she's required to.
Right. One of the things that this program will be doing will be changing the orientation that that is currently offered at the local WIN office. One of the sessions will be geared towards the children and will speak about mother's going to work, what that will mean for you. It will mean that your mother's separated from you, but she'll be at work every day. The local WIN team here is very much in the process of designing that film to try to remove the shock from the child that the mother is out there and she's going to be out there every day.
To try to convince the child that it's good for the child.
To try and remove the shock from the child that the mother will be out of the home so much.
What do you mean remove the shock?
If the mother goes to work and she has been a mother that has been at home with her children all the time, it's a crisis for a child when her mother leaves the home and goes to work. It's a role change for the mother, it's a role change for the child. And in order to try and reduce the trauma, if you will, that can occur from a mother leaving the home.
Why create the trauma in the first place?
Because once again, here we're talking about moving people off of the welfare rolls, moving them into employment, making them self-sufficient. That's why.
Everybody hollers about people on welfare. They just sit back. They're lazy. They're no good. They don't want to work. You know, all they want to do is sit at home and have babies. You know, myself, I have 1 child. I was 21 when I had him. I've lived totally on welfare for maybe 2.5 years of the time I've had him. If I had my choice, I'd rather work.
Economists, they're right. They say people are not working because there's more welfare going into the ghetto. It's not a nice thing to talk about, but it's true. Sure, it's got to be true. If the amount they can get through welfare is high relative to what they can get legally from earning, they're not going to work that much. Why should they? So we have, now you can do one of two things. You can say, oh, we should reduce the welfare. But that's not the humane thing to do, and it won't help us in the long run. The thing to do is raise how much they can get from work. And that'll get them back to work mighty fast, mighty fast.
Very few families headed by a white man are poor, but 1 in every 3 families headed by a woman is poor. This woman raised 11 children with a little help from welfare after her second husband died.
I made an effort to strive just a little bit harder because I had to survive. It left me, I didn't feel bad. I felt that I had had someone to be dependent upon, and it was no longer there. It had been taken away from me. And that's a mind thing that you have to work with. You can kind of get in a rut if you choose to. And I knew my kids needed me. I knew they depended upon me, and I knew my responsibility.
Estelle, give me an idea, if you can, what the life of living on welfare, of being very poor, is like.
One thing about me, I knew I wasn't going to ever remain on welfare. So I had a choice in my mind. Either I accept what welfare was doing for me and my family until I could do better. Then I would branch out. But welfare can make you feel like sometimes that you're not important. You just don't have enough money. It just won't go no. Money is a funny thing. You got a little bit of money and you just can't stretch it any further. It's a different kind of life. You treat it a little bit different. They more or less, some people think because you're on welfare, you're lazy. You don't want nothing no better in life, and it's you don't want to be put in a bag like that. Nobody should.
Once you become a single parent, and particularly if you're a female, so it's a female, what we call a female-headed family, it's almost inevitable that you'll be poor for 2 reasons. One is that women in our society were raised not to expect to have to support a family, so that they were not encouraged to get education, certainly not to get vocational education. God forbid they should do that. So as a consequence of that, women don't earn as much in the market. So that would make them poorer than, say, a male-headed household. But the other thing is that when you only have 1 adult rather than 2 adults in a family, that makes a family of the same size poorer, because you only have 1 adult who can go out and earn rather than 2 adults who can go out and earn. As the best statistics that I've seen show about only 20% of women with children who were divorced or separated, and only 20% of women in those categories get any child support.
So 80% of the women left with children have no child support?
You got it.
And that's why they're poor?
You got it. A huge portion of female-headed families do not work full-time, full year, although quite a large proportion do work part of the year in the market. But they all did another kind of work, which is very important, and that is raising children. And the question is, how much do we want them to specialize in that kind of work?
Estelle's youngest child was still a baby when she went to work 13 years ago at a neighborhood health center as a nurse's aide. Today, she is director of outpatient admissions.
That was kind of hard for me because I didn't know whether I should be at home permanent, just keep on working and try to do the best I could. So I was torn between what I was doing and was I really giving enough time to my family.
You said you had some really low times.
I was in the hospital. I stayed in the hospital like 6 days, and I was really sick, and I was very low. And the reason I was low because I figured, where do I go now? You know, I didn't have enough time on my job to keep checks rolling in. So that meant I had to go back to welfare again, okay? And that hurts because, a little bit, you know, because people look at you and they say, well, can't you survive for another 2 months? Didn't you save some money? Well, how can you save money if you don't have money? The money that I was making, I think my gross income then was like $400 a month. So $400 a month for 11 kids. What do you have?
Why did you have so many children? I mean, 11 is really a lot, don't you think?
Yes.
Many people think 1 or 2 is enough.
It's not because I planned it that way.
Well, was it because you didn't plan?
Well, and there was a lot of things that I didn't know about, okay? By the time I found out about family planning and what you could do and all these nice things, well, I had 5 kids, okay? So then I remarried again, and he wanted a family. So how do you deny? You know, I felt I was a woman, and I was a mother, and I was a wife. And he was a husband. So that's how I began to have 11 kids. I don't regret having 11 kids. It's been a problem in some areas. I've enjoyed it. I've laughed at it. I've cried with it. I've done a lot of things, but I've survived.
Estelle, I want to know how you did it. I want to know, you say you're over there working with people who are poor people, and you were in that situation. I want to know how you got out.
This program, in the line of giving me a job to do what I really want to do, which is to work with people, to help them. I think this is the reason I escaped, because it made me realize, hey, everybody, somewhere, sometime, needs to be understood. Someone needs to care about them. It might be a lot of people that want to do things, but not know how to do it. And I think that's what happened to me. The doors was open for me. I took the advantage, and I used it. And I used it wisely.
Is that what it is in you that got you up off welfare, is pride?
One thing my father and mother taught me was self-pride and self-respect. You know, if you don't think nothing of yourself, then nobody else will. And I think that goes way back to my childhood. We was very poor, but we was always taught that you are important. You are somebody. Always remember that. You are important. And I came up with that.
You came up with it and you gave it to your children?
Right, I tried to. I really did. I tried to. It's important. It's important to like yourself. It's important to understand you. It's important to respect yourself. And in that, you can easily give that to somebody else.
Can you?
Yes, if they're accepted. It's easy for you to talk to people because you're not judging, you're not looking down at them, you're not trying to criticize them, you're trying to understand them. So it's easy for you because you are trying to say, I don't want anyone to do this to me. Respect me for what I am.
Part of the problem is that the job isn't always out there. And let me mention one other problem. And this is very important and touches on the issue. It's very sensitive. Americans don't like to talk about it. But it's a real one. That's inequality. That's not to say that phenomenally talented blacks who come from the ghetto can't escape. They can. But supposing they're just average, like most of us, just average. What's the chances they can get the average job that you and I get? It isn't high.
You mean because they're black?
That's right. Now that's changing.
Or because they're a woman.
Or because they're a woman. That's right. Now that's changing. And we ought to be real proud that that's changing. But it's not changing rapidly enough. And many, 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 many people at the bottom are equally able to people at the very top. Female heads are an excellent example. Excellent example.
Well, then why are they
aged
poor?
Are an excellent example. Why are they poor? They made a wrong decision. It's true. They may have married a bummer, or maybe they made a mistake in their marriage, or maybe they had an illegitimate child. So they made a mistake. if you want to get in biblical terms, maybe they had a sin, one sin in their life.
And the child pays for that.
The child pays for it, yes. But there are no, those of us, lots of us have sinned and never got caught.
You said a while ago we all have an interest in seeing that children do not live at too low a level.
Yes. If we allow children to grow up in poverty and no hope of escaping it, then we ask for trouble. We ask for crime. We ask for alienation. This country is a democracy, and democracy is one of the most wonderful inventions that people in all of history have ever. It's a terrific institution, but it's hard to keep. There aren't democracies in most of the world. One of the things you have to do to keep a democracy is make sure that all the people in that country have a stake in it. 50% of the American people regularly don't vote. They don't vote because they think it doesn't matter to them. They have no stake. That's dangerous. That's very dangerous. If you believe in freedom, you want to make sure that everybody has a stake. And it's good for us, not just because we believe in freedom and because that's going to preserve our freedom, but because we like to walk down the streets and be safe.
Remember what I told you? You don't mind me, I'm not going to do anything for you.
I mind you.
No, you're not.
Sometimes.
There's a lot more to life than just trying to figure out how you can afford the necessities. And someday I'm going to make it.
People have to learn to be together, and then we all make it.
I don't want to, no, I just don't want my kids to come up and go through the hell I went through.
When, there's just you and 6 children, you'll do almost anything to make sure that those 6 children have a roof over their head and food in their stomach and clothes on their back.
I don't know what to think anymore.
Do you expect to get out of this?
I'll try.
If America's so beautiful, let's change some of this stuff here.
Respect me for what I am.
They're not